Have you ever gone somewhere and ever regretted not doing the thing there? We're going to tell you the can't miss place you have to visit that is 100 times better. It cost us just 34 euros to do this part of Santorini and saved us over 200 euros because we didn't book it through the cruise line. First, this port is so much better than Oia. I mean, Ia. Yes, it's pronounced Ia. It is at the end of the island and is a short 20-minute bus or taxi ride, or if you prefer to walk, close to a 3-hour walk, because there's a nice trail that runs along the coast that some actually did.
That is actually like a thing, is that you do the trail from the port all the way to Ia. It's actually quite lovely, and we saw some people who intended to do that and were already on their way as soon as we got to the top.
Now, only 2 other small ships were in port today, so the crowds weren't too bad. However, the biggest tip and takeaway here is to plan to get off early and set an alarm. This is what we heard over and over from the crew.
This is one port we actually sought advice for. We really wanted to make sure we understood exactly what to do, exactly when to get off, and all the things. And the crew was very good about announcing the instructions and all the things multiple times. But there were still people who got it wrong.
And the reason is because this is a tendering port. And we were told that tendering tickets were going to be start giving out at 6 a.m. Now, it was said you should line up about 30 minutes before. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do 45 minutes. I get down there at 5:15 a.m. and the line is fairly long already. I'm like, oh, should have got out here earlier. And by 5:30, they had actually opened it up early, let us in, and gave us all our tendering tickets. I was in group 3. I think I barely missed group 2. So make sure you wake up probably 1 hour early if you want to get one of those early tendering tickets.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That's insane, especially on vacation, but it's one port. And it actually worked out fine. I did not get up. I will be honest about that. I stayed in bed, but I went and got ready while he went to go get the tickets. And then we were able to go grab some breakfast because gangway down was not until 7:30. So it worked out great. We actually just had some breakfast and we were ready to go. But what a lot of people did is they're like, oh, like we have time. No, you don't. There was almost nobody ready for groups 1 and 2. And they called them like 1, 2, and now 3 because nobody was ready when they called their numbers. People were literally running through the promenade to go get their other people in their party because they weren't ready on time.
Royal Caribbean did a good job of under-promising and over-delivering. Group number 1 was first crawled at 7:25 a.m. Groups 2, 3, 4 were called at 7:25 a.m. We were on our way down there and we made it, but we saw people from group 1 running and scurrying back to their rooms to get something before they could go on the tendering boat.
We can do it. Calm down.
The reason why the tendering tickets and getting early off is so important is because of the cable cars. There's only a total of 36 people. There's only a total of up to 36 people that can fit in the cable cars for each ride. That's 6 cable cars, 6 people in each cable car. However, I saw many only going up with 4 people. So that'd be 24 people. There is another option though.
So the other option, while perfectly fine, I will say, is that it's 600 steps. It does meander up and down the side of the hill or mountain, whatever you want to call it, cliff. It is very pretty, but there is a donkey team, I think 2 or 3 teams of donkeys that are used as a form of transportation up and down the steps. I'll call it an experience. There are mixed feelings about this. Some view it as kind of like abuse, if you want to call it that. There was some people complaining that it's painful for them or something, and you can walk the steps. You can take a donkey up. You can do the cable car. What you have to bear in mind if you do the steps, the donkeys do their thing, and they do leave their remnants all over the steps.
And it's not just that, but they're slippery anyways. So when we went down to guest services the night before, the crew member said the first time he went up there, it took him 40 minutes because he's going to stop along the way. The second time around, it only took him 15 minutes. Now, he was a slender gentleman. I feel like I could have beat him maybe in 14 minutes, but it's not a race.
And he did advise it is very slippery because of the donkeys going up and down. It has gotten slick over time. And of course, you truly have to watch what you step in.
This would be a great port if you have an old pair of shoes. Wear them in the port all day long and potentially throw them away before you get back on the ship. Because while we didn't take the stairs, there was plenty of other areas after we got off where we ran into donkeys and other donkey things where it wouldn't have been too hard to step in something.
I will say there weren't that many places. It wasn't like it was all over the place. It was only in certain spots, and the shop owners were quickly going out there and like washing the street. It wasn't just all over. Don't get us wrong when we say that.
Okay, moving on. So we paid our €6 per person to ride up, so €12 total for both of us to go to the top. You have to purchase the €6 each on the way back down later when you return or walk the steps that are maybe not clean.
You cannot do a round trip. They actually have a sign posted. People were still asking. Just read the sign. Don't ask. You have to buy it at the top. You can't buy it at the bottom. Just get a one-way.
We got on the cable car. We're at the top. We had a game plan. You can book something through Royal Caribbean and spend a ton of money or any other cruise line. We chose to do self-led and save a shipload of money. Okay, so our game plan was to be budget friendly and save some money. So we were going to ride the public buses right away, which was €2 each person each way to Oia. Sounds like a great plan. We just got a little lost in the view after we first took some pictures. So when we got off, we went to the right. There was no one there, and some beautiful pics of the ship and other parts in the bay. Absolutely gorgeous. So take a little bit of time to take a few pictures here real quickly, and then you go back to the way you're supposed to go. So you get off the cable car area, you take a left if you're not taking the pictures right away, and you got a few different options. One option that we saw on the way to the public bus was, hey, you could take an inexpensive, relatively speaking, tour, maybe 2.5 hours for €35 each, and it'll last about 2.5 hours, and they're going to give you 10 minutes at a photo place. Okay?
It was just a local person at a local, I'll say maybe coffee shop or something. It was a little cafe. Very nice, very friendly. It sounded like he was negotiable a little bit on the price, but we still just wanted to self-guide.
So we finally found the bus area about 40 minutes later because we didn't take the most direct path. We should have been using our T-Mobile phone because it had great reception there as well, instead of just offline Google Maps right away. But we got turned around, didn't find it. Eventually, we finally found a bus stop area. Not necessarily the closest one, but we found it. And when we got there, there was a taxi cab driver or a taxi driver in like a personal vehicle kind of thing. And he explained to us, hey, what the bus route's like, which one we need to get on, and hey, the next one's coming through in 20 minutes. Oh, but he offers a service. It was not high pressure at all, and he left us alone after that. Well, we spoke about it, and
we decided. But by the time that we eventually found the bus station, found the right route, found the right bus, waited for the bus to get full, all the things, we would have wasted a lot of time. And the one thing that our lovely crew member told us was, do what you want to do at Oia before 11 a.m. That was one of the big things, was because everyone goes there and you won't get the pictures because there's too many people in the shot. And boy, was she right.
So he offered €35 for that 20-minute ride for the both of us. We negotiated to €30 because we were paying cash. So we went ahead and did it. So it was a 20-minute ride. It was pretty scenic along the coastline, and he dropped us off a few-minute walk to the first iconic photo.
He drove us as far as he could, quite literally, because the streets get very narrow and they kind of become pedestrian only, not too far from where he dropped us. He was very good with his instructions. He said, hey, go down here, go to the left. When you're done with that, keep going. You're going to run into the castle. It was perfect directions. He was very nice, extremely comfortable around us, gave us his card and said, you call me. If you want to go somewhere else, I'll come back and pick you up. I'll take you somewhere else. If you need a ride back, you call me. It was a wonderful experience. We beat everybody there. There was only a tiny group ahead of us to go to the famous Blue Domes.
Now, I actually got a little bit distracted because there's some other cool blue church domes on the way there, which we spent some time taking pictures. I didn't realize, oh, the real iconic photo, it's another couple minutes up the road. We should have gone there right away. We got in line there, and we probably waited about 20 minutes total for that. And while I'm waiting there, there's all these people walking to the left of the side. I thought it was just these city tour guys being, privileged and jumping to the front of the line. What I later learned after we got up to the front was, no, there's another photo spot that is not around the corner, but off to the side. It's, I don't know, maybe another 15, 20 yards away from the iconic photo, a slightly different angle as you can see here, and in my opinion, maybe just as good, but if you get there later, you don't have to wait in line. You can just go right there. But since the line was short, we still waited, so we took pictures of the iconic photo, and then slightly off to the side, other iconic photos that were very similar.
So what I will say about this experience is, for sure worth it. Don't get me wrong when I'm about to say, it is worth it. But it's not quite what you think it's going to be, and that the spot that everyone's taking pictures is really a narrow passageway with like a tiny wall that you can see the domes behind you, but you're not getting up close to them. You're not getting in front of them. You're kind of off to the side of them behind you. And if you walk a little bit to the left, you just get a prettier angle. To me, both are good, but the line to the right is significantly longer. And there was a lot of people doing a lot of poses and variations of poses, which were irking a lot of people. Please just get your picture and move on.
So definitely, if we were to do this again, we would be the first ones off again, getting up early, and then we would take a taxi and take a bus back. And if you're getting any value out of this, be sure to like, subscribe, and maybe even share this with someone else that could find this useful.
Now, the do not miss, our probably favorite part was the castle of Oia. And don't misunderstand, I say the word castle. It's really just a small landing at the point of the island, but it has the most beautiful views that we have ever seen. When we got over there, as you're walking up the steps, there is a local man playing traditional Greek music, and you're just immediately immersed in the environment and the experience of being in beautiful Santorini. If you look to your right-hand side, there's windmills on the hills. If you look over to your left-hand side, it's the Blue Domes again at another angle, if not a prettier angle. And then you look out and there's your ship. It is absolutely breathtaking. And at that point, we literally put down the cameras and just sat down on the seats around the edge of the castle and enjoyed it. Please make sure you take that moment. Don't rush away from it.
There are so many good pictures that can be taken from here. And if you're here much later in the evening, or you decide to come back just to vacation on this island, this is where a great place to watch sunset over the water is as well. Now that we got our iconic photos taken care of and we saved a ton of money compared to the cruise line prices, probably 200, 300 euros plus by taking our own private transportation and or public transportation, it was time to do some shopping. And Mrs. Tips, she did more shopping than she typically does on this particular trip.
And we've been told from other travelers that the lights on the hillside where all the houses are lit up with the white, it just glows like a nightlight, and they say it's just absolutely amazing. We've seen pictures and videos of it, but unfortunately we didn't get to experience it ourselves. I am not a big shopper, and I say that I like to shop and look, but I don't buy. I hardly ever buy for myself. I just don't. It's just not my personality. But the best shop we found was directly next to the castle, and it was kind of almost tucked under the castle, and people were just walking right by it, not realizing that it was a cute little shop. But as you walk down the stairs, this particular shop had like local artists, local people's products inside. And we found some of the prettiest like marble coasters with beautiful Grecian patterns on them, and magnets and jewelry that were very unique, not like the stuff in all the other shops. And we did spend probably more than ever on souvenirs there.
And a little scarf that we didn't get because we thought we were going to find another one later. It was 25 euros, but we were being thrifty.
And they were softer than all the other scarves that we found. So if you like it, I suggest go ahead and get it. Don't wait, because every shop has slightly different things. And what we found in Santorini, which was opposite of most of the places in Oia, it's all like boutique-y shops, unique shops. I don't think we saw but maybe one shop, maybe two, that had the cheap stuff. This was art, jewelry, boutique clothes. We came across one of the coolest boutique shops. The Celestina's House Boutique had by far the best clothes, because a lot of these places, it's all the same clothes that claims to be from Greece, all the things. They had a beautiful dress. I didn't get it, but beautiful clothing, very nice customer service. They worked with us, super nice. I would go there again. I highly recommend it.
And like Miss Tip said, some of the most boutique, authentic items, and very friendly people, very friendly sales staff. We could have shopped for hours upon hours. And we did shop for hours, and then we grabbed some lunch, because when you're in Greece, what do you eat? Well, I eat a gyro. And you can get them for a reasonable price. Now, we spent more than the 6 euros that we spent at Mykonos, and we got a much better gyro. In fact, we spent a total of 19 euros on this gyro, overlooking the water, and was able to use the restroom there. And I asked for water, which was the one mistake I made, because if you just ask for water, they're going to bring you a bottle. And I spent 4 euros on that. But I don't feel so bad, because at one of the previous places, I asked for a discount, and they gave me a discount.
And right beneath that restaurant was a place called Solo Gelato, and they had both frozen yogurt and gelato. Very funny staff, very sweet, and we had some of the best strawberry and mango. We had 2 different flavors. I guess it would be called a sorbet gelato, but it was so fresh, and they were like, oh, this is all fresh. We crunch it up ourselves, we make it ourselves. It wasn't a mix, it wasn't a syrup, it was wonderful.
And we found this place because the lovely lady was shouting out the window, best pistachio gelato in town. So we had to visit. It looked like they're open since 1951, and it was fabulous. And of course, we don't each get our own. We get one and 2 or 3 scoops and share it, because that's how you save money.
Now, I do want to point out that this is kind of around that time frame that our crew person said it gets crazy. They were right. It's the lines to go to the domes was all the way into the street at that point. It was a little more busy, so we timed it perfectly.
And not only that, we start to head back because the cable cars on the way down can be a couple hour wait just to get down if there's 4 or 5 cruise ships in port. That would be upwards of 20,000 passengers in port, unlike our day where it was us and maybe 1 or 2 other small ships that were also tendering.
So as we're kind of casually trying to find our way back, not really in too much of a rush, but really just, okay, we're done. Like, we're good now, let's go. We walked down past the gelato place, and there were all the cars. It was kind of like, well, where's all the cars? And it was just parking lots and roads and everything crazy. And sure enough, there was a big coach-like bus sitting there loading people on. So we walk over and say, hey, are you going back to the port? He's like, yeah. So paid them, I think it was €2 each.
€2 each, €4 total to ride on an air-conditioned public bus that looks like a coach bus. We didn't get any seats because we were one of the last ones on, but 20 minutes, €4 total, €34 total for transportation. Sounds good to me. However, to take advantage of quite possibly the best cruise port we've ever been to, here are our 3 takeaways for the best experience. First, don't do an excursion through the cruise line, but rather take a taxi for 30 or 35 euros and then take the bus back for €2 each. You're going to get to Oia much quicker and have no one in line or in front of you for those iconic and breathtaking photos.
Now, once you are back from your bus ride, you will walk up the hill back toward the cable car. And that's where it's all of the, what I'll call chintzy shops. Everyone has the same stuff. Don't bother. It's the same stuff that you've seen 1,000 times. Just go walk up to the cable car. Now, I will say the signage is fantastic. They actually have painted on the stairs, cable car this way with arrows. And every time you turn a corner, it has another sign that says keep going this way. Super easy to find our way back to the cable car. I did not even have to put it into the maps. And it was really no line. It was like a tiny line. And we have heard from crew people that if you wait too long, it could be literally up to 2 hours long. We heard that from a few crew members. Don't wait till the last minute. Make sure that you just have enough time that you're coming back early because you've started early, and you don't have to stress about the cable car, and you don't have to worry about walking down the steps.
Wake up early. Be in line by 5 a.m. and get that tendering ticket. It will be well worth it. This is the one day that we were running on a little bit less sleep, but well worth it to be one of the first ones off the ship when gangway down for us was at 7:30 a.m. Expect Oia in Santorini to be some of the best shopping experience you've ever experienced, and plan accordingly with the number of viewers you're going to bring along. However, Crete, in our next video, surprisingly had great port shopping as well. So be sure to like, subscribe, so you can stay up to date with Mrs. Tips and myself, Brian, Tips with Cruisers. Tips for Cruisers.